And welcome back, Mindsetters. I hope you had a nice little break. You went to do whatever you had to do, but now you're back, you're paying attention, and you've got your pens and pads out and you're ready to make notes. Because if you're like these other Mindsetters and you've posted up your questions, then that's always a good start. Because we actually have one from Pleasure. You just wanted to find out quickly, what is the function of the valve tendons?
All right, Pleasure. If you have a look at the diagram of your heart, I'm going to just draw it on the side here. All right, you'll see have your valves, all right, and attached to those valves are your tendons. And you'll notice that the walls of your heart, all right, they're attached to the walls of your heart. They're called your chordae tendineae, all right, nice big Latin name there. And what happens is, quite simply, when the heart contracts, all right, the ventricles, these muscles contract and they pull down, and they pull down. So when they pull down, all right, these tendons are attached to the valves. So when the tendons pull down, what happens? They push down and the valves come with them. So their actual function is to open and close the valves of the heart. All right? So when the heart relaxes diastole, the muscles relax, so the tendons relax, and the valves can go back together. All right? I hope that answers your question. So contraction, opening of the valves, relaxation, the closing of the valves. All right? Remember, the opening and closing of the valves is your lub-dub sound, the sounds of the heart. Okay. Is that it, Ty?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, let's carry on with our segment on blood. Okay. Last time, just to recap, we got a question where we looked at 3 different cells. Now, just by looking at this, all right, we should be able to figure out which ones. We're going to say number C. Can you see it? It's flexible. It can squash, and we know that the red blood cells, all right, you guys can red blood cells, or if you would like, the erythrocytes, all right? That is the more biological name, erythro meaning red. All right, over here, those are your common name is your blood, your white. Sorry, let me just do that again. Is your white, okay, blood cells. And the word there we use leuco, all right? Leuco, remember when you did the plant cell, you did plastids. Leuco means colorless, all right? Leukocytes, here, leucoplast. And here, the very top one, because remember, they're going to go to the surface of the capillary, because just in case, if it's going to burst or something, we need to contain the bleeding, and that is going to be your platelet. All right, the more scientific name that we use is going to be thrombocyte. So there we have A is our white blood cell, B, all right, is our platelet, and C is our red blood cell. So if we go back to our table, all right, what you will notice, number C, lekker, they've given us, already told us what it is, the red blood cell, all right? So it leads us with number A, and it gives you a little bit of a hint here, all right? It says ingest bacteria. So there we know, okay, it should be our white blood cell. And here, okay, permits the exchange of gases. So it helps with the lining and so that our capillaries are intact, and that is going to be our platelets. Okay, so we've got 2 marks so far. The function of the red blood cell, what is the function? It's going to transport. All right. Remember our carbon dioxide and our oxygen, right? If you can see that. So it's a transport mechanism. Okay, it's going to the hemoglobin, it's attached to the oxygen, and that is how we're going to move. Over here, if you would notice, all right, what do we have? We have another one of those sums. So what they're asking for you is the diameter of number A. All right, so if we have a look here, what would the diameter be? Okay, so we're going to measure. There we go, take your ruler and you measure. Okay, now you have got, now this is where the tricky part comes in. You are going to measure in millimeters. All right, much easier to work there. But what do you have over here? What will you notice? Right, your answer needs to be in microns. Okay, your answer needs to be in microns. So you've measured in millimeters, all right, but that is not the unit in which you have been asked. So you need to convert. What do we do? All right, I'm going to just, for example, say it was, all right, let's say it was 15, all right, millimeters. How do we convert to microns? We times by 1,000. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there we're going to get the maximum diameter in microns. Okay, let's carry on to the next question. Again, it's the same. We're looking at it now. It says the capillary shown in figure 3 was from a mammal. Okay, red blood cells in mammals have no nuclei. All right, state one advantage and one disadvantage of this. Okay, our red blood cell, there we go. No nucleus whatsoever. Okay, what is the advantage? Okay, think about what the red blood cell does. Okay, what does it do? It transports oxygen. So now imagine if we had a nucleus over here, what would happen then? Okay, the nucleus would be taking up space. And we don't want that. We want oxygen, all right, to be able to fill up the whole cell. So one of the advantages, there's much more space, all right, the advantage. What can we do? We can increase that iron pigment that I told you about, hemoglobin, all right. And if we increase the amount of hemoglobin, we can transport far more oxygen. The disadvantage, all right, what could be the disadvantage? Cells with a nucleus can very often divide by mitosis. All right, red blood cells are not able to do that. Now, if they can't do that, all right, that means that the responsibility to make more red blood cells falls onto another part of the body. All right, and you guys, before you did circulatory system, you probably did the skeleton. And if we looked at the structure of the long bone, what do we see inside the skeleton? We have bone marrow. And what does the bone marrow do? It gives rise to red and white blood cells. And remember, red blood cells then have a lifespan, and they then have to be, all right, reproduced every so often, approximately every 3 months. Okay, so that would be an advantage and a disadvantage. All right, let's go on to our last section, all right, the lymphatic system. This is quite a difficult concept when it gets to the lymphatic system. All right, I often explain it like your body is like a pond, like a water feature. You've got a pump, all right, that you constantly need to get the water out, but you also need to get it back in here. Again, if you have a look, we've put the system in of the blood vessels. There's the artery, arterial, capillary, but have a look at these green structures. Right, the first thing you should notice is that they are blind ending. Blood always, all right, stays in its blood vessels. However, lymph, they just start in the middle of anywhere. Okay, so you call them blind ending, where our blood vessels tend to have a closed circulatory system. Okay, we also tend to depict it as green, right, because lymph vessels, they transport fats more, and you also see white blood cells. So please when it comes to a diagram like this, you need to be able to label arterial or artery, arterial, capillary, venial vein, all right, and lymph vessel, all right, or lacteal, as some of the times they are called. So if we have a look now, I'm going to start with a diagram, all right. It looks a little bit complicated, but don't be disheartened. Take each thing for as you can see it. All right. This little schematic diagram, okay, already this should tell you that's the heart. Okay, heart-shaped, nice and easy to remember. Okay, here they're telling you that these are valves. Okay, and nice and easy, this one says that this is a vein. All right, we know that veins go back to the heart and they have valves. Okay, if we have a look at this little section over here, I quickly want you to have a look here. You should notice here, that would be the lymph, all right? That would be an artery coming in, a vein going out, and these are cells. All right, and what is going to happen is we need to move substances that the blood plasma moves out into the tissue fluid, all right? And what we'll see here is you need to move that excess tissue fluid into the lymph vessel, all right? So what happens is the blood plasma is, when it comes to the capillaries, it's under this large amount of pressure, right? Remember the blood plasma, is our water part. So what happens when it gets into these capillaries, it squeezes. And the water part, all right, is filtered out because we also have holes in the wall of our capillaries. That's also one of the things we could have said in our question earlier, that there are pores for easy diffusion. Okay? So what you can see now, all right, is going to be now all of a sudden the blood plasma, the water part, filters out and it bathes all your cells. You're not biltong inside, all right? You're nice and it's watery, it's very important. But what happens, all right, if that water, you just were losing, your bloat, your swell. So you need to have a drainage, okay? And here we have the lymph system. The lymph system is going to drain, all right, that tissue fluid and now becomes what we call lymph. All right, so what you've got here is blood plasma that almost changes into tissue fluid, all right, or extracellular fluid, and then you need to get that volume back into the blood, all right, and that's where it drains into the lymph system, and the lymph system is then going to take it and back into the heart. All right, so you'll see over here, if we look at it, okay, there we go. Always notice, you'll notice the lymph, it's always that blind ending, all right? Blind ending vessel. You'll also notice veins and the lymph vessels, usually, all right, both have valves because they've got to stop the backflow. Okay, so there we go with the lymphatic system. We are, I think that's about as much as we are, all right, have time for tonight. All right, so guys, we've got a few more we can put a lot of questions on the lymphatic system. You can see again, you can tie it up to the blood system. All right, but unfortunately, I think any more questions that we can maybe answer. I think that's it for tonight.
I think for tonight we might not be able to get through all of them.
Dear,
That's always the
we'll try it
disappointing
next
part.
time.
Yes, always next time. But mindsetters, make sure, do not lose hope. And I keep saying mindsetters out there, if you see a mindsetter in trouble on the page, do not keep the answer to yourself. Help each other out and post. Help each other. Just put it there in the comment. It's that simple. We're here to share information. But on that note, mindsetters, I'm here to say again, thank you so much. And we're going to say, see you next time. Cheers.